Now that video we've been showing you this morning that shows protests in Ferguson and the shooting of 2 police officers was shot by a Missouri woman.
Let's take a look at that video, and we're talking live right now to streamer Heather DeMayan, who was in the center of all of this, taking this. Good morning, Heather.
Good morning.
We've heard from the police chief in that report that he says these shots came from up the hill behind the area where the protesters were. Is that what you saw?
Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely. There's a street called Tiffin that runs between 2 parking lots across from the Ferguson Police Department. It's perpendicular to South Florissant. There's the Andy Worm parking lot where protesters often are and were at the time that the shots ran out. There were a few over in the other parking lot. That's a strip mall. There's a Subway over there. But there's a little street called Tiffin that runs up, and it goes up a hill, and that's where the gunshots came from, and that's where the police were sitting like all morning long, a block up the street. I know I have pictures on my Twitter. They're not very good because it's so dark.
Yeah, we saw the video. I was going to say, Heather, what did the police do? What was their initial response as soon as the shots were fired?
Well, they ducked. They ducked down behind their cars, behind anything they could duck behind, and they had their guns out at first. You know, like their handguns at first, and then the police came out with, and then then there were police with rifles.
Heather, we can hear and see the chaos from the protesters and everyone else right after this happened. What was that like?
It's kind of scary. People didn't know. Everyone was scared. The police had the guns trained. The police didn't seem to know where the gunshots came from because their guns were trained in all different directions.
Yeah.
But they did. They eventually, at one point, a little while after the gunshots, they formed, like a group of the police formed like a little line, and with the officer at the front with a shield, and it was like a group of them, like kind of marched all together with the officer with the shield in front, and they marched up Tiffin Avenue up to where the gunshots came from to go investigate it. And then there were cars or whatever. There was like a whole bunch of county police crime scene vehicles that pulled up very shortly after it happened.
Wow. Heather, we've got to let you go, but thank you so much for sharing this with us. Heather DeMayan has been live streaming the protests for months now, and she's from St. Charles. That's why she was there that night and captured what we believe the moments those shots rang out.
And we appreciate you joining us. Let's get a check of turn and get a check of weather right now at 6:33. We'll continue to follow this story in the meantime, but first let's get a look at your Thursday forecast.